Welcome to my beginner's guide to the AI-assisted ancestral storytelling. This is actually a PDF document that you can have a look at for yourself later on. It's going to introduce you to this co-intelligence project. So the things that it has at the beginning, it describes in a little more detail the 4 narrative types in ancestral storytelling: the ancestral biography, the place narrative, the occasion narrative, and the artifact narrative. There's also, here's the link inside the document to the group that I was talking about before. And actually, I will go back into the chat, and I've already put that in place. I will copy and paste it again into the chat for those who want to know which community group to go to. I advocate that you start with the Genealogy and Artificial Intelligence group on Facebook. How to get started. This is a set of practical activities for using ChatGPT in the 4 narrative types of ancestral storytelling. And so this guide gives you an actually detailed plan, and I'm basing it on a recent piece of my own ancestral research about my, I think he's a 3 times removed great-grandfather who was a cordwainer, a shoemaker. The pictures that I've used in this document are illustrating that as an example, but I've kept the prompts for you in a generic form so that you can use it for absolutely any ancestor or any place or any artifact. The objective here is that you want to create a detailed biography of a chosen ancestor, and you might be wanting to just share that in an email with your descendants, or you might want to write a blog post about it, or you might want to have an article that you feature in your archive, such as weare.xyz. So your research, of course, you gather data from family records, interviews, and public archives. And for me, I don't know about you, but the further back I go in the research for my family, the less I know about those individuals. There's not as much information available for those ancestors who lived in the 18th century. I have little data for them. The way in which we can use ChatGPT is to input some of that collected data to generate a narrative that might cover a portion of their significant life events, personality traits, or the ancestors' impact on their own community. By the way, this guideline covers 4 different projects, and each of the projects has several prompts. I'm not expecting that you need to use absolutely every prompt. I've just included as many as I possibly can here. One of the first things you might do, a simple one, is to use AI to analyze some letters or diaries that you have of your ancestors. I have a few of those myself, and you can ask it to decipher, sometimes translate if you wish, from that handwritten to a typewritten diary or letter, or you can get it to summarize it. You can use a well-engineered prompt for ChatGPT to assist in this process. Now, if you're not sure what we mean by prompting, this is simply the way in which you talk to the AI tool, such as ChatGPT. What questions do you put in place? In this first one, I've got a sample of prompts. So there's one for summarizing the key life events, and here is your prompt. What you can do from this document is simply copy that prompt to your clipboard with Control-C, and then paste it into your AI tool and insert your own information where I've got square brackets, any collected data for your ancestor or the ancestor's name. And you can do that for any of the prompts. The next one is drafting the biography. You just simply copy and paste from there. So I'm trying to make it as simple and straightforward as possible so that you can generate parts of your story in a very easy fashion. I won't go through absolutely every one of these today, but in each section, I'll just go through to the next one. So here's a place narrative. And the objective here is to document the history and significance of a family-related location. So your research might include the collection of old maps, descriptions, historical records of the place. And then you can use ChatGPT to help describe the location's physical and historical changes over time. And I'll show you that in a moment. Once again, there's a whole series of prompts that you can use to help you with that. First one is how to gather historical details. The objective is to obtain a detailed historical background of the place. For many of us, those ancestors lived in places that are unfamiliar to us. For me, my ancestors come from England and I'm living here in Australia. So those place names are just that to me. They don't mean much until I start delving into more of the description of those places in that era, which is something that AI can do very simply. Prompt 1 is about gathering your historical details. Prompt 2 is a geographical description. And you can, once again, just highlight the prompt, copy it to your clipboard and paste it into your AI tool. So all the way through this document, you can see from the left-hand side here, and you can jump to any one of those. Let's go to prompt 5 for the occasion. And it once again gives you the objective and the prompt. All right with that? So that is the beginner's guide to AI-assisted storytelling. And it goes on to cover all 4 of those types, right through to this one. Oh, and by the way, each of the images that you're seeing that illustrate these have come from ChatGPT and DALL-E 3. I love creating these images. And this one is a particular one that could have been handed down. I kind of imagined maybe an old pair of shoes that have been created by my great-great as being handed down. So you can do the same with your storytelling if you want some illustrations to go with it. And this will help fill in and really engage with your readers. Let's head over now to ChatGPT itself. And I was talking about where and how I created the images. And right now I'm inside a tool that I've created called my Ancestry AI Artist. And in a moment, I'm going to show you how you can create your own GPT. But here I've asked it to create an image for an ancestral biography. And it's come back to say, all right, could you provide some details about the time period, location, and specific characteristics that you'd like me to include? So that is how you can begin this iterative conversation with a ChatGPT tool and then refine it and keep working with it. So my response here was that the time period was the 1850s, location was England. I wanted clothing appropriate for a cordwainer and typical tools for his trade in the background. So the answer from my artist gives me its impression of what it's going to include. So it tells me what it's going to do before it does it. So that it says that the cordwainer will be dressed in a period appropriate attire. rolled up sleeves and a waistcoat, trousers held up by suspenders and a flat cap. So that all sounds great. And that's a really good way for the AI tool to be communicating back to you as to what is possible, because that will give me ideas of what I can do even more with. So I got started with that first picture that you saw in my guide. And the new things that you can do here with these images, if you've got ChatGPT 4, is you can click on the image itself and notice how the screen changes to show the image on the left and its description on the right. And then it's got these little tools up here. This is quite a new feature if you're designing images. If you wanted to change part of this, you can highlight or select a part of the picture. You can see my selection tool, and you can highlight it here. And over on the right-hand column, it allows me to put in what I'd like it to do with that. So I'm going to ask it to change just that part of the image and leave the rest. Let's see how it does with that.